So what is up guys, Nick here helping you to master your technology. Welcome to the iPhone XR versus the iPhone 11 speed test. Now I did a video earlier this year, should you buy the iPhone XR versus the iPhone 11? I'll leave a link down below if you could check that out. Let's go ahead and boot these up in 3, 2, 1 and see which one is faster. Now, the iPhone XR does have the Apple A13 Bionic CPU with 3 gigabytes of RAM, and the iPhone 11 here on the right does give you an Apple A13 Bionic chipset with 4 gigabytes of RAM, both on the ARM architecture. Now, I could tell you one thing, they're both on the latest software, and the XR boots up first over the 11. I could tell you one thing, they're both very similar feeling phones besides the camera. We discussed that more in the should you buy comparison, but you've seen the XR booted up first over that of the iPhone 11. Okay guys, so let's test out the Face ID performance between both of them. Looking at the iPhone 11, you can see very fast performance. Did I say 11? The XR, very fast performance here on the iPhone XR. See, I said 11 because they feel so similar in the hand, but here is the iPhone 11 and you can see very fast performance as well. I'm really noticing no differences. Maybe you can see the iPhone 11 open on some more odd angles, but other than that, really not a big disparity between both of these in your purchase decision. So if you are analyzing these two and you're like, I want to get a better Face ID system, don't really think that way because these two are basically the same. Like I say, maybe slightly better angles here on the iPhone 11, but other than that, there's really no difference between them. So confirming their software, the iPhone XR is on iOS 13.2.3. The iPhone 11 is also on iOS 13.3, so this is a fair speed test. All right, guys, so we've arrived at the application portion of this speed test. You could see everything closed out for both devices. Let's begin with clock, and you can see nothing really. Let's go into calculator. You can see pretty similar once again. Now, when in Apple-based applications, they do seem pretty similar in performance. Let's go into calendar. You can see very fast on both. Let's go into weather. And that one was maybe a little bit to the 11, just barely. Let's go into iMovie. You can see that one I think was slightly to the 11. Let's go into Instagram. And you can see which one's gonna load it up first. That looked pretty even. You've seen the notifications right there. Let's go into my page and you could see scrolling through, loading up the extra content. Everything is very similar in performance on both of these. Let's go into Twitter and you can see Twitter is first there, just a little bit on the right, but nothing to make a big difference in our everyday usage. Let's go into YouTube and we're gonna hit the home page and we're gonna just scroll and you could see scrolling pretty similar. It looks like the iPhone 11 may be loading content slightly faster, but only ever so slightly. Let's go into Amazon and let's see which one is going to be shopping first here. Looks like the iPhone 11 has got the win on that one. So sometimes you'll see the 11 a little bit faster, but like I say, I wouldn't choose this over this phone if you were just coming on the basis of a processor bump, because really it's not a big one. It's kind of like the Series 4 to Series 5, not a big processor bump. Let's go into Best Buy and you can see that Best Buy loaded a little bit faster on the 11. Let's go into Pandora and you could see Pandora. It looked like it was like it's just barely, just like the actual specification, just barely better. Well, you're seeing right now the 11 just barely better. Let's go into Dead Trigger and see which one can start shooting these zombies first. Let's hit play. Hit that one first on the XR. But when you're actually in the game here, you're going to notice that the graphics of both of them are really good and they can both handle these games pretty much with ease. Now, one thing I will say is I think that the 11 has a little bit better battery life. So just because the processor is a little bit more efficient with the battery life. So maybe you might get maybe 30 minutes or so better in a game. But other than that, when you're using these day to day, they're both very fast in the performance section. Let's go into PUBG Mobile now and see which one can load this up first. And this will be the last game for the first round of applications. So looks like the 11's a little bit ahead here. And let's go ahead and tap these at the same time. Let's hit OK right here. And let's hit the X over here. And we're ready to start a match here. And you can see both of them performing almost identically. So you're not going to beat somebody in a match just because you're on an 11 and they're on a 10R. The performance is not different enough to give you the edge. Now, if you had maybe a much faster CPU, maybe much better GPU, then yeah. But you've seen in this first round of applications, the iPhone 11 is that much faster, if that can paint a picture for you. Just barely faster, but it's always better to have even barely faster if you're going to be just going for the long term here, because you're going to get a little bit better battery life, because you're going to get a little bit better camera performance here. And yeah, if you're just going to go longevity wise, then the 11 probably is still worth it, even if it's only that much faster. So running back through these applications, you can see that they're both going to perform pretty well. Now, neither of these phones are top performers in multitasking or going through these applications if you have like more than 20 open, because these are only 4 and 3 gig of RAM phones. But iOS does a good job at making you think that they're open. It'll pause the applications and it just really doesn't bother you. You just kind of feel like it's always performing fast, which is a good thing on this device. There goes the 10R sliding around. Let's go into Instagram and you could see, again, really just solid performance on both. And if I was buying one of these or the other, I would just look at how much do I want to pay and do I want another camera on my phone. It's very easy to fall into the hype of the camera, but you know, once you start using it, if you find yourself not using that wide angle that much, you might be regretting paying that extra when you could have just got a cheaper 10R, for example. Okay guys, so I have a 4K clip here on both of them. We're gonna go ahead and save the video here in iMovie to see which one can do this process faster here. 38 seconds, let's go ahead, 3, 2, 1. And I wouldn't be surprised if the 10R keeps up. These processors are both very good, and they're both some of the fastest in the industry. So even if the 11's a little bit faster, it shouldn't be by much here. And you could say though, as the clip gets longer, the A13 should do a little bit better. So if you are going to be working with very long video clips, you probably still want to opt for the 11 here, as you've seen pretty close here. But I found that once you start getting the longer video clips, the 11 I would probably still opt for, just because more RAM and it does have more CPU power in the A13. Even if it's slight, that little bit slight can always help when doing intensive tasks like video. Okay guys, so let's see how fast these guys can open up their camera systems. 3, 2, 1. And you can see, it looked like the 10R was a little faster. I could be wrong. Let's do that again. 3, 2, 1. And yeah, pretty close performance. So if you're going to be doing camera, in terms of the time it takes to open and get that moment taken, both of them are going to be very fast. The way you burst is a little bit different here now versus the 10R on the 11, but they can both burst very fast. You can now hold down video here for the 11. But I gotta say that in terms of the actual picture quality, I do prefer the deep fusion that's on the 11 over the 10R. It gives you more detail in your photos, especially when you do zoom in on your content that you are creating. So yeah, there is an advantage here in the camera for the 11. One of the main ones actually is that camera. And if we go ahead and go wide, you can't do that for the 10R. But in terms of just speed there of the cameras, pretty similar performance in terms of your everyday capturing a moment. I don't think the 10R is going to be that much slower at all versus the 11. You're not going to miss that moment. Okay guys, so let's go to a couple of websites. How about DuckDuckGo and see which one is faster? Not a big deal of difference there. How about yahoo.com here, yahoo.com right here. And we'll do yahoo.com here for the iPhone 11 and see how it does perform. 3, 2, 1. And you can see iPhone 11 a hair faster there than the iPhone 10R. How about apple.com? Apple.com. Let's go there now in 3, 2, and 1 and see which one gets there first. Pretty similar. Let's click the same links. And again, the browsing performance, it's Safari, so smoother than ever. Scrolling pretty similar. And you've seen that even the speed of opening these websites is pretty similar. They both have 4G LTE. Neither of these are 5G phones, and they both don't have the best Wi-Fi performance I see in the industry. But still, they're very good and they're very fast phones in browsing. But if you're buying 11, you're not getting a big deal of difference. I could see if this was a 5G phone, but not really. And lastly, how about a Geekbench 5 test? Now, these scores are typically lower than the old Geekbench 4, so don't be like, why is those scores so low? This is a new Geekbench test here. Geekbench 5 is a new app. It just came out a couple of months ago or so, and this application does have a little bit lower scoring system, but the one that has the higher scores is still going to be the winner here. I'll be back when they're done. Okay, so you see that the iPhone 11 does win here in the Geekbench as well by a couple hundred points on the single and about 1,000 on the multi. So yeah, technically it is faster, as you can see by these benchmark scores, but I think where it's really going to show is just maybe 3 years down the line, because right now that's really not going to show. But if you are serious about taking photos with wide angle, or you just care a lot about your photography, you do get better results for the Apple iPhone 11 with its dual camera with deep fusion. So I would pick it up if you care a lot about the camera. The battery life is slightly better in my experience, but not a lot, pretty similar overall. And I would just say that get the XR if you can live without those things. It's an excellent value, one of the best iPhone values today. So yeah, if you guys found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click that like button for me. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.